Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Today we are going to have a look at Condres OS. I have not seen this one before, so we're going to have a look at it. I have installed it onto the virtual machine and I have done nothing more. And so we'll kind of go into what it is, how to get it, and things like that. And I'm still scratching my head over it. I'm not sure who it's trying to emulate. There's definitely a lot of marketing elements from the Mac computer, and there's definitely some UI elements from a Windows computer. I don't know what in the world to think. We'll let you guys think about it. But let's see. Where are my comments at? There's my comments. There we are. Craig Lill, this will always be on virtual machine because that's what I use to do distro testing. Do I think the reason Linux will not defeat Windows is because there are thousands of distros and 10 maintainers? No. It's simply because people are locked into their ecosystems and they're extremely lazy and they don't want to try new things. I can't really say they're extremely lazy because I think a lot of people just don't have the time to look into other things. And the fact of the matter is, I don't want there to be fewer distros. While fragmentation in Linux is certainly a problem, that's not a problem that keeps people out of Linux. The problem with no fragmentation is then what ends up happening is we got one or two Linux distributions that shoot up to the top and they become taken over by corporate interest, and then we get Ubuntu. Yeah, I went there. And they start doing things without caring what people think. They start hiring PR guys to change people's minds and opinions, to tell people what to think. And I think that that's the bigger problem. So I like the fact that there's some fragmentation in Linux. Now, people will use Linux when they are sick and tired of Microsoft and sick and tired of Apple and start looking for other alternatives. And then they will warmly come into Linux and find something that they will love for the rest of their life. Dave Price, hello. Jonathan, greetings. Jan Lopez, yeah, I don't know. We might have some RMRF no preserve root fun. Neo29, greetings. Let's see, please, always pleased to follow your lives. Awesome. Well, thank you. Ashton, hello, Mr. Banana Man. Are you back in the university now, Ashton, or are you done? I'm not sure. Let's see. Yes, this is Arch-based. Happy Saturday to you, Mr. Banana Friend. And Diego, how's it going there? Greetings to you as well. All right. I got like frogs in my throat. Hold on a second. Let me mute myself and be disgusting for a moment. Whew, you did not want to hear that. All right. So, all right, let's see. Won't pay monthly subscription Microsoft. Yeah, and that's the thing. When you start looking at going, Microsoft now, like, okay, let's see, the kids' braces are coming up next year. We got all these school events coming on. We got our credit card interest rates going up. Our rent just went up. We got our insurance just went up. Our car insurance went up. And now Microsoft wants to bill me monthly for Word. They'll start looking for other options. And that's the thing. You know, the Condres logo sort of looks like an email envelope. I keep expecting here, you've got Condres OS. There you go. You've got Condres OS when logging in. Yeah. Yes, to the university. Speaking of Ubuntu, everyone who wasn't already running Linux had to set up an Ubuntu VM for systems programming. Very cool. And you're in there using Arch, aren't you? You're like, by the way, I use Arch. I mean, really. No offense, been computing for 35 years now. Linux is Frankenstein. Dependency and recovery in the system is hell. Well, yeah, I mean, there's some issues with that, for sure. Not enough issues that I won't deal with it, use a stable distro like Linux Mint, and get on with my way. But yeah, if you're doing specialized, customized things, yeah, it could be a problem. Is there a way to install Mac OS on a Windows-based computer? Yes, it is called a Hackintosh. You'll need to look into it. Now, actually, some people, though, are saying that with the new T2 chip in the Mac OS, that may not be a thing of the future, but I don't know. I'm not really interested in those questions specifically. I have a Mac down here that I use for client testing and things. Basic things I might need a Mac for, which is rarely ever turned on because I really don't like Mac OS. But you know, it does the job that I need it to do for. So Debian 10 or Red Hat 8, what do you like? I've never yet used Red Hat, so I prefer Debian. Now, if I'm doing like a server or something, like if it's a commercial server, yeah, just give me the CentOS because I'm not going to be in the terminal at all anyway. If I have to maintain or manage my server, I either do Debian or Ubuntu actually. So kind of depends. By the way, I use Manjaro, which is basically Arch but different. There you go. Yeah. All right, shall we go ahead and dive on in? Jump on over here and start our recording. Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, today we're going to have a look at Condres OS, and we're going to try and figure out what it is. So this is an Arch-based system that's kind of the Arch-based Peppermint type thing. We have a lot of cloud application integration. We have ICE applications built in out of the box, which is great. And there's a few other tools. Their task is to develop a computer that is easy to use for a basic user. And it is supposedly also very lightweight on the systems. So if we head on over to their main page, what we kind of see is that they're borrowing Mac-like views, but when we boot it in, and I'll show you the loading screen, because it's exactly Windows 10 loading screen with a different wallpaper. It is quite, I'm baffling my head right now. But anyway, we'll have a look at it. So you have, the advantage is this is a rolling Arch-based system with some friendly, user-friendly tools in it that I haven't even looked at yet, so we'll try and find those together today. And the great thing is that if you want to use GNOME, they have the desktop icons on there by default for those that like GNOME but like your desktop icons. It actually doesn't use the patchwork job extensions. It's doing something else. So there is some good development going on behind this distro. Hands down, there's some good development. The file manager on my GNOME build was actually Nemo, which was like, well, that's kind of neat. But that's probably how they got all the desktop integration to work the way they did. They have ICE applications. Mostly, I would say this is probably a Chrome OS type answer because it does seem to be catered more towards the laptop use with some very advanced and customized battery usage tools. And they do say it's a very lightweight distribution using a variety of different desktops. They have this push bullet tool, which we won't be able to look at these things today, but it might be worth doing a separate video later. So push bullet will basically allow you to sync devices instead of using someone else's cloud infrastructure, just utilizing your local network instead. So nothing's ever going out to anybody's cloud servers. And that's a really cool tool. So like I said, there's some cool stuff in this. The sync thing also allows you to sync things between different tools. And it does tell you here we are based on Arch Linux, so it's a rolling cycle. Now they do release new snapshots every 3 months, so if you do want to install this, you're never more than 3 months out of Arch updates. So that's good. You do notice this red banner. They just released this new version, which is the 1909. And they are having an issue with KDE desktop icon issue with the control center. So if you are using Plasma, be aware that that is an issue. They are well aware of. They're publicizing that this is an issue and that they are working on it. I think this is all excellent stuff. So right now, just looking at their website, they know what they're doing. They got some good development. They kind of figured out where they're going. Now, as far as downloading it, you can go ahead over to the download page. And they just have a brief little minute-and-a-half here video, which really doesn't have any information. But, it's cool to see they did some animation stuff. You can come over here and download. We have GNOME, KDE, Cinnamon. There's an education edition. I'm not sure exactly what all is in that one. We have the Mate. We have XFCE. We have the server. We have a minimal CLI. And this one here is, I think that this one here is actually designed for kind of these newer low-end tablet PC combos, because these things are 64-bit machines with a 64-bit EFI bootloader. And so if you have yourself one of those weird and rare machines, you're like, I can't get anything to work, other than Debian has a way to solve this problem by manually moving the 32-bit ESI bootloaders over into the 64-bit machine. This actually out of the box is going to give you that functionality. So if you have one of those tools and you're looking for a Linux build, this might be the Linux build to look into. So with all that being said, what we're going to do now is let's go ahead and jump on over and start booting this guy up. And I do want to show you the loading screen here. because it is quite interesting that it is basically a Windows loading screen. All right, so there we are. I mean, look at this thing. That's the exact number of dots and the exact way they spin on Windows, isn't it? So, they're borrowing their marketing apparently from Mac. They're borrowing some of their OS build from Windows, I guess. Definitely an interesting thing to see. Now, when we load in here, of course, I'm using your GNOME. So let's go ahead and sign on into this guy here. All right, so now when we land on the desktop, so this is the GNOME build. We have our panel down at the bottom. You do notice that our default is, oh, Chrome. Bleh! Why would you do that to a Linux machine? Anyway, we do have that. We have all of our desktop icons. And like I said, this is actually using Nemo. So it's not actually clunky like the other desktop integration system seems to be. It does seem a little bit better. Now, we do have a lot of stuff here that's like, we still have the installation here. This is already installed on the system. We have access to just a lot of different stuff dumped on the desktop. So this is your downside of desktop icons because it gives us that full bloated Windows feel where I'm not sure Windows 10 does this as much anymore. I really don't know because I haven't used Windows 10 in a long time. But when you used to go out to the store, you'd go to your Best Buy or your Circuit City, remember that store, and you'd buy your computer, you'd bring it home, and then you'd spend the next 5 hours uninstalling the bloatware that they installed onto your computer. Well, we have all of this stuff up here that most people probably won't want on their desktop. But let's go ahead and have a look at all the different system tools that we have. All right, so we have Rhythmbox down here, LibreOffice. We have probably just the core LibreOffice, so the writer, the presentations, and the spreadsheets. We have a text editor, a terminal, basic settings. I'm guessing this is our GNOME settings, but we'll see. Okay, so that's our GNOME settings. This should be running GNOME 3.32, I think. Yep, 3.32.2. My installed package is never loaded. Let's see if this thing actually works. Interesting. Apparently it does not want to. We can click on that. We'll get our search bar. Let's see what we have. We have an archive manager. We have backup tools, CMake. We do have multiple web browsers. We have Firefox, Chromium, and Chrome on here. There might be more. Here is GIMP. We have firewall configurations. There's a kernel manager, a welcome screen. I found the welcome screen did not have a lot of useful information. It's not like some of the other distros that really gives us a lot of stuff. We have some basic documentation, but that's about all we have there. Yeah, apparently the installed packages application, whatever that is not going to want to run for me. Let's see. This is their control center, which is kind of their one of their core features that they talk a lot about. Hopefully it runs as well. And while that's hopefully booting, let's go in and see what else are we running here. Looks like Chromium is set as the default web browser, but we do have Firefox and Chrome installed. So yeah, I can't get the control center to work. Not sure why that is. That was kind of one of the feature tools. They do have Steam built in out of the box, but unfortunately they also seem to have Wine. We have Play on Linux installed by default here. And so you know my feelings about installing Wine onto a Linux build. That should never ever be installed onto a Linux build unless you are specifically planning to use it. So here is our ICE applications. They do not give us any ICE applications out of the box, which is nice because we don't have a lot of connections there. We can choose whether we're going to do Chrome, Chromium, or Firefox, and then we can create the SSB with an isolated browser. Of course, Firefox is always isolated. So, of course, this is you just name the application, enter the web address, and then this is going to load up. So if I wanted to do something like, let's do best YouTube channel ever and do that. Just use site favicon, apply. Really? That's giving me an error, huh? Let's go ahead and continue. Maybe something is fundamentally broken with the system, which would make sense because I'm actually not able to load some cool core functions like, you know. I wonder if my network is working. Let's boot up Google Chrome here and see if the network is working. Interesting. Maybe I typed something wrong. I don't know. So internet is working. The ICE application, maybe I typed something in incorrectly there. So out of the box so far, my user experience is not particularly good. My installed package application will not load. My Condres Control Center will not load. And apparently my let me check that ICE application. Let me just make sure I didn't have a typo. I probably had a typo. That's probably what I did. Can I edit this guy? Let's remove it. I might have typed that wrong. Maybe I didn't have the .com. Use site favicon and apply. Let's see if this works this time. Okay, so now that seems to work. I probably typed something wrong. I'll go back through and probably find it on the the video. I'll look at that and go, oh man. So this is what your ICE application gives you. It's just basically a browser here where you can go in and just kind of click on that. If you do want the menu, you can go in and push the Alt and you can get your menu open if you want that. So that's kind of what your ICE applications are going to allow us to do. All right, let's go ahead and dive into another part of this that I found a little controversial. So the little bit of the controversial part is the installation itself. So we use the Calamaris installer, but there's an extra step in here that I want you to be able to see. So we don't have to install the whole thing for this. I just want you to see what goes on during the installation, because to me it made me scratch my head a little bit and go, not really sure. So here we are going to go in and we're going to start the live system, then we're going to run the installer. Welcome to the Windows boot screen. All right, now they do have on their welcome screen over here, we do actually have our passwords and stuff, so that's really good. But we want to look here at the installation of this, because there's an extra step in here that it kind of makes you want to do that I think is like, that's a little goofy. So we click over here, and here I have to accept all these license agreements. There's no option to say, don't install this. NVIDIA driver. With my AMD computer, I do not need to, nor do I want to agree to the terms and conditions of NVIDIA drivers. If I wanted to agree to terms and conditions of NVIDIA drivers, I would buy an NVIDIA card. As it is, I don't. Catalyst driver, graphics driver, I don't think I need that. The whatever's in the kernel is good for me. Adobe Flash browser plugin. Where's the option to say, don't install this nonsense? I don't really want it. Licensed GPL v3 browser plugin, OIN license agreement browser plugin, and data protection regulation plugin. I'm not even sure exactly what these plugins are. I'm guessing these might be plugins that are installed maybe on Chrome. I don't know. But I don't have any option to install this unless I agree to these things. Half of those, which I don't want, actually none of them I want. And many of these I'd like to just say no, but you'll notice we cannot go through and skip this. So you are going to have to agree to these terms and conditions before that, before you can install it. So we're going to go ahead and cancel that process. Yes, cancel the progress. I pushed no the first time. My apologies. Let's see if I can actually load the control center on the live image. So overall, out of the box, at least on the virtual machine, I'm not having a particularly good experience. Now, some people say, well, you got to try it on bare metal before you make an evaluation. Not in the Linux world. In the Linux world, I'm first going to try it on a virtual machine. If we can't get it functioning well on the virtual machine, there's hundreds of other distributions I can try that don't give me problems on virtual machines. So yeah, even here, I can't get the control center to work, which is kind of their standout function. I'm guessing my installed packages application is also not going to work. We have things like Chrome installed out of the box, and we have things like WineTrick out of the box. So overall, my verdict for this machine, let's just burn it with fire. Now, actually, I'm on my live user, so I can't really burn it with fire. But overall, my take, I looked at this today and said, wow, this looks really good. Their website looks good. They clearly have some developers behind it who know what they're doing. But the challenges that I'm having here on this desktop, testing this out, maybe it's a GNOME issue, I don't know. But we have applications installed that I probably don't want installed. We have EULAs that I can't say, please don't install this application or skip this application. I don't agree. If you do not agree to all these terms and conditions, we cannot install it. So with things like Peppermint, which has a lot better, maybe a lot better development team behind it and works with the ICE applications to get your more internet-y based things, with things like, Manjaro and Endeavor's coming along nicely, and people have said Arco Linux is great. I'm using Arch Labs for all those for Arch. I'm not really sure I see a need for this at this point in time. That's just my thoughts and my opinion. Maybe there's some fundamental reason why these tools aren't working the way they should. Maybe I'm missing something where it's forcing me to use these EULAs, but I don't really want to agree to them, nor do I need an NVIDIA agreement on my computer anyway because this runs AMD. Those are those little things that I think need to be patched up, and I don't know. Those are my thoughts about this. Let me know your thoughts about this distro in the comments down below. All right, let me go ahead and power this guy off so I can put my comments back where they belong. Kitty was over here. Are you still here, Kitty? Kitty, kitty. All right, no offense, man. Okay, let's see. I read those comments. Experienced in Hackintosh, but if I'm unsure if the T2 chip has impact. Louis Rossman says the T2 chip should have will probably have impact on that. I think. I heard that somewhere. I think it was his channel. More like controversial OS, if you ask me. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, there we go. I'm back. Sorry. There's some frog that's just keeps on ribbiting his way down there, you know. All right. Better have protection when using this OS. Ooh. Let's see. Can I run Android apps on it? I don't know. Probably. You can find a way. Can you easily run Android apps on it? No. Can you find a way to run Android apps on it? Of course. It's Linux. You can run Android. You can run anything on Linux if you try hard enough, you know. Yeah, there's tools that you can use to run Android apps on Linux. Okay, Linux can't be beat for price running as a server. Yep. Security and privacy are paramount. Yep. And I'd trust a Linux server properly maintained before I'd trust a Windows server. Oh, Kitty's back. You want to come back up, Kitty? You want to come up? You want to come up? Come on. Yeah, come on. Come on, buddy. You back from your vacation? Was your martini good? Yeah. there's a cat. Wow. Okay. Condres OS 10. That's right. Klein has 1, 2 of them, and that explains the trouble I had. Huh. Used Fedora for a while, then it started freezing badly, then I went back to Debian. Yeah. I hate GNOME just because it cuts my workflow. That's my problem with it. I just cannot be productive on GNOME. Numix theme on Condom OS? Please. I don't want that image. Can you AutoCAD? Can I get AutoCAD? Like the official AutoCAD OS, I don't know if it's going to work well under Wine. You can always check Wine HQ. Let's have a quick look at Wine HQ. And let's see if AutoCAD works. I'm not sure it actually does. I need to go into the app DB. There are 2 open source versions, but if you're a if you're a hobbyist, you know, something like that, there are open source CAD things. If you're a full-fledged professional, then may not work well for you. So according to this, the last version that runs well is 2008. Everything else seems to run garbage. Mostly because, yeah, these companies are trying to do a lot of weird, goofy things. Now, not to say that you can't get things working with other things. This is just pure Wine. I don't think this includes running things with Fusion and stuff like that, but I don't really have a reason to test a lot of Windows applications at this point, so I'm not the best guy to ask. But according to Wine's database, no, it does not seem to run well. Let's see. I installed the Plasma version, UEFI, and after updating, I installed NVIDIA drivers. After reboot, looked up. Installed NVIDIA the same way as I do on other Arch systems. I use Google Chrome on Linux and love it way better than any other browser, and I hate using Chromium. Don't you dare say it's garbage because it's just not your opinion, it's truth. No, because Google Chrome is a proprietary mess. It sends everything you do back to Google and tries to log you in without your consent to store all your data with Google. That's why it's crap. Has nothing to do with performance. It has to do with what it's trying to do under the hood. No, it's not my opinion. That's actual fact. Of Pac-Man or POMAC? Pac-Man's probably going to be on there. I don't think POMAC is on there. I think their application installer software is there. Which won't load. Greens Williams, how's it going there? Firefox and Chrome are 2 favorites, all right. I don't care about privacy, and no one really should. I see no problems with privacy nowadays. You're up for some challenges in your life, my friend. Oh, yeah. Hey, pizza. How's it going there? All right, POMAC is Manjaro's graphical package manager. Pac-Man is the command line packager, yep. Okay, if you really want to stop spying, all you have to do is lose every piece of tech you love in your life. No, there's a lot. Okay, if you're not following my privacy series on Sunday, I'm walking you through step for step what to do to maintain as much privacy as you can, which is very possible. It's very possible to maintain a lot of privacy. Love when Linux distros put a lot of apps into their OS that people complain about bloat, need to go back to kindergarten. No, John, the reason is a lot of people that install Linux already know what they want to use and they don't want to have excess stuff. And by the way, that stuff on the desktop is not applications. It was a bunch of crappy stuff going back to their forums, their donation tools, their system, their website. That's the type of garbage that does not belong on the desktop. Did I spell Linux wrong? I might have. Rather have bloat and remove whatever I don't need and discover new things along the way. All right. Okay. Kids just like to complain about the stuff they get from these awesome devs. No, I'm actually giving information for people that are interested in looking at distributions. I just hate Windows boot screen. Yeah, that did make me scratch my head. I'm like, didn't I see? Oh, wait, Windows. What? Huh? I don't know. EULA, dislike it already because of the boot screen. I always change the boot screen. There are guides online that work with Linux distros. When I see a EULA, I say next. There you go. Go to the next screen. You'll have the options to not install any of those. No, you do not. You do not. Absolutely not. You cannot go to the next screen. You have to click accept, agree to all before you can go to the next screen. So I don't agree, so I'm not installing the distribution at all. Great, tried KDE version on a USB, very old Mac, ran great. Greetings, Cat Gamer. Greetings, greetings. T2 chips have some workarounds, but nothing satisfactory as of yet. All right, cool. Missed the walkthrough. I'll have to rewatch. Yeah, I'll get it. I'll get the edited version up too if you want. However, Gnome is good. How could they break it like that? Some nice ideas. Studio.youtube.com, YouTube Live Dashboard, Speed Test. Yeah, there you go. There's some fun ones. GNOME was dash to dock is my favorite workflow because the activity's hot corner. There you go. Considering what ice apps to install. Any good suggestions? Yeah. Use Arch with i3 because nothing in life should be easy or enjoyable. Hardcore Linux nerds with time to spare. Yep. See, some of us actually use Linux to act as a tool to get our work done, not as our hobby to spend our time. That's, you know. Semi-secret project. Ooh. Recommend WaterFox as a daily browser. Yes, that's actually what I use across most of my main production systems is my daily. The greatest thing about WaterFox, YouTube Studio Beta doesn't work on it, so they keep redirecting me away from YouTube Studio Beta. Bonus! I actually switched my computer over here to actually store cookies and remember history for that reason. Means I'll have to be down to Firefox for some of the newsy stuff. It just causes a shift for the night. Meanwhile, because this new YouTube beta is the biggest piece of piling dog poopy I've ever seen. Bunch of garbage. Yeah, WaterFox will have older compatibility, which, frankly, I like that because I don't necessarily want all that new snazzy stuff, but, you know. There's an extension that Google has released that stops Chrome from tracking of your data and sending them to Google. Yeah, I'm going to trust a Google extension to stop me sending data to Google. Yeah, I wasn't born last night. You excited for GNOME 3.34? No, I really don't like GNOME. Not a secret. You could easily find it on GitHub, but I haven't mentioned it. Oh. Much as you, but not 100%. Well, it depends on what you want to do. No, you can't have 100% privacy. You have to make a lot of compromises. More compromises than many people would like. I mean, it's actually not all that difficult. It goes like this. You pay cash for a house in the middle of nowhere. You don't necessarily have an internet connection to your house. I mean, you could have an internet connection to your house and just proxy it through Tor or VPNs. You make sure that nothing that you do is online accounts, which is doable if you own your own house and you build an off-grid system and you have your own water tanks, you have your own septic systems, you have all those types of things. You can get most things off of line. You'll still have a few little odds and ends like driver's licenses and things in government databases, which is certainly a problem. But for the most part, you can stay very off the grid. It's possible. It's the question is, what degree of compromises do you like? Which degree of compromises do you make? Graphical Manjaro updater don't work well, so use the command line to updates. Yeah, in Manjaro, it's better to use the command line for updates. Hoping the RAM usage will be lower in Fedora this time. They've been getting better. You're watching now as a noob. All right. Well, thanks a lot. Okay, not 100%. There will always be privacy breaches as long as you're connected to the internet. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Okay, I addressed that exact line in my last video. That's the exact reason why I did my last Sunday video. For the people saying there's no privacy on the internet. Yeah, there's plenty of privacy on the internet. You got to know how to do it. And I walked you through the steps. DistroTube didn't have many problems when we reviewed it. Well, maybe it's different systems. Works better with different systems. I tried Nitrix. Vaguely familiar. I can't remember. Special needs. I'm in college. It just needs things to work as quickly after install. Yep. The best alternative than Libre. You know, I don't use CAD applications, so I can't give you alternatives. But check Alternative 2. Check some of the forums and see what type of CAD applications are in the repos. News on when Pure OS is going to be available for smartphones. No. Going out to breakfast. Have a crisp weekend. All right, man. Have a good breakfast. I think we have hit the bottom of the comments. So let's go ahead and feed the beast, and then we will wrap this guy up because I have a lot of things I need to take care of today. Oh, you're going to feed the beast. Feed the beast. Feed the beast. Oh, are you gonna go over there and moon everybody? You're gonna have two cameras, the cute side and the ugly side, aren't you? That's right. We got two cameras, the cute side and the ugly side. You gonna moon everybody? Oh, it's a full moon. It's a full moon, kitty. It's a full moon. Ew, it's a full moon. There you go. Come on. Here, come on. Ooh, we got the paw action today. There you go. Get it. Right at the front. Get it. Hey, dummy. It's right there. It's still there. There you go. Now you got it. You got one more. And let's do one more just because you're so cute. But you're slobbering on my desk, cat. Your finger licking good. But guys, I got kitty slobber. I got kitty slobber on my desk. I got kitty slobber. Oh boy. Yeah, look up your kitty slobber, please. Look it up. Here. Thank you. Get your kitty slobber off my desk, boy. All right. You see Cubes OS review. I actually have a whole playlist of Cubes. It's Cubes version 3, not version 4. What Linux OS do you recommend for school? Depending on what you need to do, probably Peppermint OS. It's going to work very well out of the box. You have your ICE application, so if your school requires you to connect to Office 365 or Google Docs, you can actually integrate that into the system very easily. So that's kind of what you want to do. Cubes, but you have to have a pretty powerful machine to support it. I don't know. I've run it perfectly fine off of my old laptop, which runs a Core i5, I think 5300 with 8 gigs of RAM. That runs Cubes just fine. Okay, Yes, cubes is definitely good. Like I said, I have an older tutorial series on. I wanted to do a newer one, but I really need to get a capture card to do it right. And so I didn't want to, I don't want to do a bad job on it. Although I probably could, because my my DSLR camera can probably do the screen recordings pretty well too. But, you know, the channel where Penguin feed the kitty. That's right. Easily connect to Google Surveillance Overlord. Yes, unfortunately, but that's what a lot of schools want to do. A friend of mine's going to a school that they do not actually require them to do all that, which is kind of fun, but, you know. All right, guys, we will catch you all later. Have yourselves a wonderful afternoon, and we will see you again. Next live stream might be Wednesday, but probably Thursday will be the next live stream. We'll see what's going on. So see you guys later.